Well, it's one of our last days in June. July is creeping up on us, so it's getting pretty hot out here. So we're starting out early this morning. And as you can see, Al's showing you some of the flowers. We have a canna over there that's growing in the ground, and then we found out that we can put them in the pond. This one is kind of a surprise. Last year, I found some cannas coming up from seed. And so I planted them and grew them in the greenhouse. And as it turns out, I've got two different colors here that are totally different than the mother plant. We have this yellow, it's getting a little bloomed out. And then you can see we've got these pink ones all around the edge. And it's happily growing in the pond, which was an experiment we tried earlier and seems to be quite successful.
I think those are just absolutely gorgeous. You look at those yellow ones, they got a yellow, white, gold.
Yeah.
The peach
There's
ones
a really
are just
pretty one here. Hand me the camera. Well, let's move over to the garden. One of the tasks that I kind of do on and off all summer is pruning up the tomatoes. There's a lot of extra leaves on the tomatoes, which takes the energy away from the actual fruit. So we kind of trim those off, and I'll show you what we're doing. The other thing that it does is it gives more airflow, so we kind of keep the tomato rust down. So let's go take a look at our tomatoes and see what we're going to do here.
Let's check the potato sacks. They're really growing like crazy.
Well, they're kind of limp today. I think they're not getting enough water, so I'm going to give them some water today.
Yeah.
This extra heat. Okay, what I do is, for one thing, if you take a look at plants, you can see these leaves here give it quite a bit of shade. So I just trim these off. And then I come down in here and try to get rid of this stuff down in here.
Yeah, that's not going to produce any fruit anyway.
No.
You're just going to compost those small things in the...
Yeah, I just throw them in the compost back there. It's kind of handy. As you can see, we're getting some tomatoes.
Oh yeah, we've already harvested 3 tomatoes. God, the ones off of the vine are just incredible as compared to the ones from the store.
Yeah, you can see there's a nice big one there. Look at that. This also helps the tomatoes ripen if you can kind of cut away some of the extra foliage.
Okay.
Well, let's take a look at the peppers while we're here. This is a new little pepper I'm growing, and look at the amount of, and there's a little pepper on there. These are shishito peppers, and they're a Japanese pepper, an early, small, thin-walled, glossy green red pepper that is popular in Japan, with fruit growing 3 to 4 inches long. So we'll see what we think of that. Then right here is our poblano from last year, and it's got some good peppers. And then
that's from last year too,
that's
isn't
from
it?
last year, and then this one over here is from last year, and it's producing a lot of peppers. We're getting a lot. Here's our summer squash.
Okay, well, I got a project going on in another area. Let's go take a look at that. This is a project that I kind of started without even realizing it. One of the things about living here in the high desert country is sagebrush is a fact of life. If you have a bare spot of ground, sagebrush is going to show up there. And we have this here, and in fact, it shows up all over the place. And here's a sagebrush right down here. You won't be able to see it, but I'll pull it up. And this stuff comes up wild all over the place. And what we have over here is last year I took one the size you just saw me pull up, and I planted them all along here. And what I plan on doing now is I'm going to try to trim these into a hedge. I don't know if sagebrush will make a hedge or whether I'll end up having to cut them out in the near future, but you're going to see the first clips of a never before seen hedge, a sagebrush hedge. And I'll just start trimming some of these out. And I want to kind of flatten this side. Get these out of here. That sagebrush has got a really distinctive smell to it, and it's well, either you like it or you don't. I kind of like the smell. It just reminds me of now we've kind of flattened this off on this side over here. It was sticking clear over this rock wall to this point right here, and now I've kind of flattened that. Here's one right here that I need to cut off a little bit.
Do you want to kind of reduce the height a little bit too on that?
I'm trying to decide whether I want to do that or whether I want to wait to reduce the height. Yeah. I think I probably
should. You could cut down in here like this.
Yep.
Just cut the lead out.
Yeah, good idea.
And then just cut the lead out there. Yeah, and then maybe
keep it from getting taller, because it will.
You're right in here. This one right there is the lead. There.
Anyway, we're just going to, let me trim this other side just a little bit so it's pretty much a hedge type. See how they're going to grow and scatter out here? Well, I don't want that to happen, so let me get rid of these.
These are growing without any extra water at all. It's just totally natural right here.
And there we go. It's I'll let that settle in for a bit, and we'll see what happens. This will be a project that you'll see unfolding as the days and years unfold.
The problem too is if we let them go, they get too big. As you can see over here, we had a jungle of them over here, and we cut them out earlier.
Yeah, they had to. Well, they had grown out clear across the walkway, so we had to clean them out. And I left one, and you can see the stumps down here from the ones that I had to cut out. They had started to fall all over the place and break apart and do what sagebrush always does. And this is what we've got left of the old sagebrush. Of course, the new stuff is all along back there, and it's going to become a hedge, maybe not. Well, we've got gobs of raspberries to pick, so let's just move back there. What do you say, Gretchen?
Okay, let's go pick some raspberries. Al, what are you doing with that bucket hanging on your belt?
Oh, well, let's show the people what you're talking about, but I never can have, you hold yours in your hand, and I got to tell you, no matter which hand I hold it with is always the wrong one, because the berries have got to be picked. So I just hang it there, and then I can pick with both hands.
Oh,
but anyway, you can take a
quick look at that.
A quick look. It just hangs there, no big deal. But then I can do this routine and pick. So let's get to picking berries.
Okay, we got 3 rows of berries to pick here.
Yep, we'll get started on that.
We're standing here next to this clematis. This was one that Al's mother had, and we brought it from California and put it here on the fence. And as you can see, it's pretty happy.
But anyway, folks, that's it for this week. We're going to finish up here on the hedge and picking the berries. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye-bye.